New York is Congresswoman Malliotakis. She's a member of the Foreign Affairs and Transportation and Infrastructure Committees. And Congresswoman, it's great to see you this morning.
It's great to be with you.
Thanks so much for being here. What should be done? I mean, look, you've got 18 buses just in 4 days.
Yeah, I think common sense says we need to call on our president to actually secure the border. Look, this was not happening under President Trump. When we remained in Mexico, when we didn't catch and release, when we had a process in place where people can apply, but they had to remain on the other side of the border until their court date. Now you have nearly 4 million people from over 60 countries entering through the southern border. We know dozens of people that were caught on the terrorist watch list, caught at the border. The fentanyl that is streaming in, it's out of control. And so if the mayor's right, it's unsustainable. And we've reached our breaking point. But what is the solution? He refuses to call on the president of his own party to restore order at the border, which is desperately needed.
And Kamala Harris just the other day said that the border is secure. So how are they lying to us in plain sight?
Well, because first of all, she won't even go there. I went down there personally last year, and I can tell you, and so did you. Yeah. I mean, you talk to Customs and Border Protection. They tell you it is unsustainable what is happening. And we know the Drug Enforcement Agency is telling us that's where the fentanyl is streaming into. So here, my U.S. Senator Schumer saying we need more money to deal with fentanyl. Why don't we actually put drug dealers in jail here in New York, where you saw $1.2 million of meth trafficked, and those individuals were arrested and released back onto the street? And why don't they work on securing the border, giving the technology to the CBP agents that they need, complete the construction of the barrier? It's just common sense. Right. And we're, children of immigrants. We are a compassionate nation, but this is complete disorder that threatens our national security, our economy, and our public safety.
You're absolutely right, Brian.
Yeah, well, then you have tent cities growing in New York, which is completely unsustainable. And the mayor is frustrated, he says. He says we shouldn't have to trade off between taking care of New Yorkers and taking care of migrants. He's not taking care of either right now, because even people who live in this city all the time are saying, you're not taking care of the subways. You're not taking care of the streets. He's not doing anything he promised to do.
You're absolutely right. And the fact remains that New Yorkers are struggling right now. They are having difficulty paying for their own, roofs over their head, food on the table, and they just want to increase the burden on these American families that just can't keep up with the cost of living, which is why so many New Yorkers are leaving. Plus the homeless population we have in New York approaching, 60,000 individuals, and yet he wants to build a tent city for people who have come into our country
18
illegally.
buses this week with that population.
Yeah, that crime in New York City, and that woman who was attacked in the subway. You've got the cover story of the Post right here.
How many more women, particularly women of color, need to get beaten in the city before the mayor does something about it, or the district attorney, or even the governor does something about it? There is a couple on my street who are now living on the street in front of my building, and they have a mattress. They have like a little apartment set up in the street, and it's sad.
It's very sad,
and it's heartbreaking. But at the same time, this is a city that it's just a statement as how quickly the problems get out of control. And there's no one in charge trying to take command of what this downward spiral is. The only way I can describe it.
Yeah, they've let the quality of life deteriorate in our city. They've let crime soar in our city, and this was the making of the Democrats' policies, right? They refuse to transition people out of the homeless shelter, helping them transition from welfare to work programs, job training programs to help people be sustainable, and during a time of labor shortages, so we can help these people transition, but they do not do that. Crime, they refuse to fix the bail law, okay? They refuse to fix the sanctuary policy that actually protects individuals. Even if they commit crimes here, they are protected from deportation. Again, drug traffickers running our streets right now, and the governor refuses to fix the bail laws to put them in jail. In Brooklyn, which I represent, we had 6 burglaries of local small businesses, and the Democrats locally think it's a joke. They think it's a joke. They don't address it, and hardworking, tax-paying New Yorkers are getting fleeced, and the governor's allowing it to happen.
Brooklyn has gone so down, and just saddens me so much. I grew up there. We've got this video to show you. A warning to the viewers, because this is about to contain graphic content. You may not want to look, but a New York City mother was brutally assaulted by a homeless man in the subway. Could possibly lose vision in one eye. This is the picture that Dagan was showing you earlier on the cover of the New York Post. She's pointing the finger squarely at Mayor Adams for breaking his promises. The victim telling the New York Post, the mayor said we would have much more cops in the subway, and the cops specifically would be patrolling the subways because that's where the worst of the crimes we are having. There was no one, Congresswoman.
Yeah, and you have representatives like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez who have fought us when we call for more cops on our subways. Subway crimes are significantly up. Hate crimes are up. Almost all categories of crime, at least the major 7, are up in our city because the police have had the tools stripped away from them. They are down in numbers. They're down thousands of police officers, and the mayor wants to give them another 3% cut.
Unbelievable.
So our priorities right now are definitely upside down, and it is because of the one-party Democrat rule. We have to have a balance, whether it's at the city, the state, or the federal level. We've seen the pendulum swing too far to the left.
Are you going to vote no on this bill coming your way for funding the government, since there's not a dime in it for the Border Patrol?
Well, we have to vote no on this, and I'll tell you why. Democrats create problems, and then they want to pour more money in to try to address it. Look what they've done with energy. They've driven up heating bills, electric bills, and now they want to create a special fund to give people to help pay their bills. And not just that, the amount of money, they're kicking the can down the road, by the way. It's to give themselves one more bite at the apple on December 16th so they can pass unlimited amount of spending on the way out the door should they lose the House.
This is what the Democrats did in New York City with all of this, the $1 billion Thrive program that de Blasio's wife ran. Again, you see crime like this, and the reaction from the left is always like, oh, poor criminal. Oh, poor him. He just needs mental health treatment. He just needs better job training rather than throwing people in jail who commit crimes.
Terrible situation. Great to see it.